Hello, my friends, and welcome back for week 2 of Summer Enrichment. By now, I hope you guys have really enjoyed reading with Miss Karen and have heard the story. I have it right here. Me and My Dragon. I loved this story. It was so much fun to imagine actually having a dragon as a pet and all of the really fun and cool things you would be able to do with a dragon. Like, I imagined, and this would be like one of my dreams, to have a camp out with a dragon. Because you know what the coolest thing he could do? He could make a bonfire. He could make a beautiful, crackling, big fire. And we could roast marshmallows and make s'mores. That would be so much fun for me because I love a good camp out. I love to go camping. I love to sit by a fire. I love to make s'mores. So maybe you guys can actually do that. Go outside and pretend that a dragon made a fire, and maybe you guys can make s'mores, whether it's in if you have a fire pit, you have a barbecue, even if you can make them over the stove. You can make them in the oven even. There's so many great ways to make s'mores. Well, what we're going to do today for our dragon science experiment is we're actually going to go a little bit off of what our schedule said. Because as I've told you guys before in science, things change very quickly. And some things that you think are going to work so great, guess what? They don't work. And unfortunately, that is what happened with one of my experiments. I tried it a bunch of different ways, and unfortunately, it wasn't good enough for you guys, and I want my experiments to be perfect. So I'm going to keep working on it, and if I can get it to work and be as cool as it's supposed to be, then I will definitely show you guys. But in the meantime, I've come up with something better, and that is the great thing about being a scientist, that you can just keep rolling with things. If something doesn't work, you figure out something else, and you just have fun, and you explore, you think, and you be creative. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to teach you guys how to make fizzy dragon eggs. Does that sound really cool? Have you ever seen a dragon egg? Now to think about it, I've never even seen a dragon. Are dragons real? They're mythical creatures, which means they're in stories. Some people believe they are real, but I've never seen one. I've never heard of one living nearby. But I like to imagine that they're real. So they're in my imagination, but I don't think they're really around us. Well, we're going to use that imagination, and we are going to make some dragon eggs. And to make these dragon eggs, you are going to need a few materials and ingredients. Materials are the tools that we use, and ingredients are the things that we mix together to make our actual finished product. So the materials that we're going to need is we are actually going to need 2 bowls. So I have one like this, and then I have this one over here that I'm going to use as well. Then you are going to need 2 measuring cups. You're going to need some kind of container to hold your eggs when they are done. And you are going to need a spoon. For your ingredients, you are going to need, and you guys are going to learn, if any of you are hippos and owls next year, you are going to learn this so well. We are going to use every scientist's 2 best friends, which are baking soda, which Miss Tara buys me by the huge tub, and vinegar, which again, Miss Tara buys me by the gallon, because these are every scientist's 2 best friends. So many different experiments involve these 2 ingredients, so you're going to get to know them really well. Baking soda is like a white powder, and vinegar looks like water, but if you smell it, it's stinky. That's how you know it's vinegar. So let's get started. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to, in a measuring cup, measure out about 2 1/4 cups baking soda. So you're going to put it in a measuring cup. And if it's a little more, a little less, these are going to be one of those recipes that we kind of play with because we want it to be a certain consistency. We don't want it to be soupy. We want it to actually be almost powdery. And you'll see it when we get it. So we're going to fill up my measuring cup, about 2 1/4 cups. And it's going to need, and watch out for those baking soda rocks. They're always in my container. And they're fine. They're just the same thing as the powder part. You just kind of have to break them up a little bit. Now, if you happen to not have enough baking soda at home to do this, Either one, let me know and I can supply you with some. Or two, try halving the recipe and see. It should work just as well. Sometimes things when you half them or double them, they don't. But if you play with it, I'm sure it will be fine. Because this is a lot of baking soda. But it should make a few eggs, which is fun. All right, so that's 2 cups. And now I just need my 1/4 cup, which is not actually that much, right about there. Perfect. So that is 2 1/4 cups baking soda, which it just is a white powder, nothing fancy. With this, you also feel free if you want to, you can add food coloring and make your eggs different colors. I just recommend that if you do, you wear gloves when you're mixing because we will be mixing with our hands and I don't want you guys to get stained. But if you do, here's a little hint. When you wash your hair, shampoo and conditioner help get the food dye off. I'm not going to use food dye just because I want you guys to see everything I'm doing and I want to make sure that, you know, my hands aren't stained so that I can keep mixing ingredients. But feel free, make a mess, do whatever your hearts want to. You are the scientist, you're in charge. Next thing we're going to need about 3/4 of a cup of water. Oh, did I tell you we needed water? We do. We need some water. So we're going to pour that water in and we are just going to mix. And we're going to mix with our spoon at first. And if you want, you can get your hands in there and start kneading, which means that we squeeze the dough with our hands. Now, feel free either way. You can use a spoon, you can use your hands. To begin with, I am going to use the spoon just because it's easier to kind of push the baking soda around because it does get a little clumpy. Now we want to make sure it's not soupy. If it's soupy, it will not mold as well as we want it to. And, you know, it just won't be as egg-like as we would want to. So I'm actually going to put a little bit more baking soda in mine because I want it a little more dry. All right. That's looking good. And like I said, if you want to make yours green, red, blue, feel free. All right, so that's good. Like I said, we don't want it to be soupy. You want it to be almost the consistency of, imagine, oatmeal, okay? You want it to be thick. But when you turn it upside down, you still do want it to be very, like, firm. But when you poke it, you can feel that it's soft. So just imagine oatmeal, and that's pretty much where we are. All right, so now it's time to form our eggs. Now this is easy. You're going to get your hands in there, and you're basically going to make a ball. And however many you end up making, you can make big ones, you can make small ones. It's up to you. So I'm just going to grab a clump, and it feels really cool. And I'm just going to mold it into a ball. And I just toss it back and forth between my hands. You can pat it, and we're just making a ball and putting it in our dish. Now we're doing another one. Putting it in our dish. And another one. Putting it in our dish. And another one. So I'm going to make 4. Now remember, if you want to use all of your dough, feel free. And that's it. So now, my hands are nice and messy. It's going to dry really fast. So the next thing that you are going to do is, this is actually a 2-part experiment. You're going to let these dry. You're most likely going to wait overnight. So if you make them on Monday, you're going to be able to do this experiment on Tuesday morning. I am going to show you it now, even though mine are not officially dry. When they are dry, you're going to feel, they actually feel almost like a rock. But be careful, because if you squeeze it too hard, they will kind of like burst. Because even though they are compact, they're like together, it's still very fragile. So when your eggs are dry, and how you know that is when you poke them, you'll feel that they feel like rocks. You are going to take your other bowl, and you are going to fill it with vinegar. And vinegar is very stinky, That's how we know it's not water. If you guys want to take a good smell. Some people like the smell of vinegar. I personally do not. My mom used to wash her floors with vinegar all the time, and that's all I remember is that smell. So vinegar just has that, I don't know. Some people like it though. Some people use it in salads and different foods and different recipes, but you know, to each their own. So when you have your baking soda rock, and your baking soda rock is hard, and even if it's not, just be careful. All you're gonna do is to make your fizzy dragon eggs is nicely drop them into the vinegar. And look at that. You will see a chemical reaction. When vinegar and baking soda mix together, it actually makes a gas called carbon dioxide. And that's what all these bubbles and that sound is. It's all that air, it's all that gas. It's all of that just movement and the bubbling going on. So we can do it with this one too. And like I said, if you find out that your eggs aren't hard, or if simply you just don't want to wait until tomorrow morning and just want to do it right now, feel free, because as you can see, it still works. They might not be hard, but when you drop these eggs in, we're going to wait for it to stop. And you ready? 1, 2, 3. We get another reaction. And if you have food coloring in yours, you'll actually see everything turn that color that you used. And obviously, the more baking soda or dragon eggs you drop in, the more reaction you're going to get. The more carbon dioxide that's going to be forming. Have you ever heard of carbon dioxide before? Everybody go like this. That's carbon dioxide. The air that we breathe out is carbon dioxide. We're going to put another one in. And you're going to see that reaction. So have fun making your fizzy dragon eggs. And like I said, play with your ingredients, with the way it's mixing. If it seems a little soupy to you, add more baking soda. If you need more baking soda, any vinegar, anything, please let me know. Try and wait for them to dry overnight so they're a little harder. But if you don't want to wait, don't worry about it. Just make sure that when you pick them up nice and slowly so that they stay like a rock. Drop it into your bowl of vinegar and watch how cool the reaction is. When we meet for Zoom class, we're going to be doing another fizzy dragon experiment. But this time, instead of making dragon eggs, we are actually going to make a dragon volcano where our water bottle is going to be transformed into a dragon, and we're going to be mixing ingredients so that, you know how dragons usually breathe fire? Well, ours is going to be breathing lava. Isn't that cool? So I can't wait. I will see you guys for Zoom on Tuesday and on Thursday for Miss Karen's wonderful art project. And I hope you guys are having a lot of fun. Any questions, please let me know. Send me pictures because I want to see your dragon eggs. And have fun being scientists. All right, like I said, see you on Tuesday. Bye.